Hello, Brad here again with another Maytag restoration. Surprise, surprise. This one is a 1936 model. I bought it in Snohomish, Washington, just for parts. There were parts that were missing, so I decided, you know what, I needed a parts machine, so this is it. So you will recognize this as the power unit from any of you who have attempted a restoration, but I thought I'd give a short video of this because it's an excellent example of water ingress into the power unit. So as you can see, the water would have no doubt gone down the agitator post right here, due to overfilling the tub probably, because I didn't see any leaks in the tub or the shaft. And then as the water mixes with the grease, it literally just turns to mud. Absolutely useless as far as lubricating goes. And then other parts of it, of course, get hardened, and it's almost like taffy in certain spots. So obviously that has to come out and the new has to go in. But before we do that, I'm just going to show you quickly some of the tricks, I guess you could call, as far as disassembling it. So of course the top is off. The bolts have been removed, and the gasket, I have taken a scraper and taken the gasket off. Now, I mentioned this in a previous video. From 1935 previously, up to a certain point in 1935, there were spacer washers in these holes. I think 12 total. And it's very important that if you have an older machine, still a Model 30, but just an older machine, do not lose these spacer washers as you lift the top of the power unit off, and especially then when you scrape off the gasket, they are embedded into the gasket. So you don't want to lose those. If you do lose them, it affects the gearing mechanism. It actually acts as a spacer, and if you have it clamped too tightly or bolted on too tightly, the gears won't move. So that's what those spacers were for. Later models, they did away with the spacers, and I guess just adjusted the height or something. In any event, this one does not have the spacers. So first of all, you need to release two bolts here that are on what's called the silencer disc. This is on top of the eccentric. So the two bolts come out, usually with no trouble because they're greased. They're very seldom rusted. And the silencer spring comes off. And then you've got the eccentric here, the pitman arm that goes over to the segment gear, and then the segment gear drives the agitator, the pinion here. And then the clutch mechanism just pulls this up. So in order to get the pitman and the segment gear up, just pull up on the pinion gear and clutch. Just get that out of the way. And now you can just slide this right out. And that's ready for the parts washer now. And then over here, you've got the main gearing from the worm. So here's the worm shaft, here's the worm itself, and then the worm gear. So all this can be lifted out and then cleaned with solvent. The clutch mechanism stays in place. You don't need to detach that. There is a pin, a taper pin, if you wanted to, but there's really no reason to mess around with the clutch there. Just work around it, clean around it, but definitely take the pinion out and get that cleaned up. So hope that helps anybody who's attempting to start a restoration on one of these machines. Any questions, please be sure to ask in the comments, and thanks for watching as always.